Did you take tennis any further? Like, did you go beyond just learning to play and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, at that time, tennis was my main sport. So from the ages of,
So even more than cricket.
yeah, cricket was a game I could play, but I didn't take as seriously as tennis. Yeah, from the ages of, I'd say, 9, 10 years old to just 16 or so, that's all I was focused on was tennis, really.
Just from 9 to 16.
Yeah, roughly 9 to 16, 15, roughly.
We're gonna come back to that.
Yeah.
How far you went?
I
tennis?
Yeah, at my age group, especially in our region, there were ITF rankings at the time, if you remember, International Tennis Federation. But at my age, in our region of the Caribbean, Central America, South America, I got as high as number 2 in my age group.
I remember there was some story back in the day when you were ranked.
Yeah, I've won quite a few tournaments, got deep in quite a few tournaments around the region and internationally. Even in Antigua, we had quite a blessed, I think Antigua, was looking back on it, Antigua was quite blessed with the generation of tennis players at that time.
So before you even get into that, I want to give you a joke or just a story.
Yeah.
When I was in grad school,
Yeah.
I met this guy, he was in the same grad program as me from Suriname.
Oh, wow.
And the moment he heard I was from Antigua, he said, because he's a tennis player, so
Right.
he was at school on a tennis,
On the tennis scholarship, right.
and this is a D2 school,
Right.
and he taught tennis as well.
Mm.
So the moment he heard Antigua, he was like, do you know Mali? Do you know
Kevin Gardner, Kareem.
Yeah, actually you, Kareem, and Carlton, the
Okay,
bed
wow.
ministers.
Okay.
His name is Gene.
Right.
I don't remember his last name.
Right.
But I found that interesting.
Yeah, we actually, that's why I say that, because that generation of tennis players, I mean, a lot of us, the ITF saw the talent in us and sponsored us to go overseas and travel.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we would get grants, and we also would make the ITF regions team and go and compete against, we went as far as we competed in the World Under 16s in Costa Rica.
The
Or was it
success that
highlighted?
you guys were seeing, all the sponsorship and the tournaments you were going to, well, the sponsorship makes my ears perk up now.
Right.
Because one of the big cries is not having funds to go and put into these sports and so, but you guys were that good.
Not only were we sponsored, like at times, because a lot of us, my father could have at the time afforded as well to pay my way to play these tennis tournaments, and that was also done, But there were so many other players that weren't as fortunate, who that meant the world to. And if just thinking back on it, there was so many. It wasn't just me. It was a Carlton, Bedminster, like you mentioned earlier, Kareem, Kevin Gardner, Gershom Phillip, Fernando Peters. Then you had the girls, Nikki Williams, Isoki Perry. It was so many. I even forget a few now. But it was so many, and not only did we get, like I said, sponsorships to tour, we also got sponsorships for equipment. There would be guys at these tennis tournaments that would see us and thought that we were very talented, and we'd get rackets for free and stuff, through the big brands at the time, Prince, Wilson. So it really made things that much so much easier for us at that time. We didn't have to worry about a lot of things.
That's very, very interesting. Just because now in our adult years and the kind of rhetoric you hear around sports,
It's gone backwards a little bit.
it seems that's how it's sounding now, because people will cry, the government need to do more, or this person, and something that I always personally say, the private sector
Right.
could step in a little bit more.
Right.
One, and two, we sometimes have to be realistic about, the prospects that we actually have. Is a player that good,
That's another
at
thing.
this level? Because I always believe, if a company sees an opportunity to make money off a player, they're going to jump for that opportunity. If it is you have to beg the company because they don't see the benefit.
Then is it really a valued product?
Is it really
In
a
the way
valued product?
or does it have the value that you think it has?
Yes, and it sounds rough.
Right. But
but it's sports and money.
At the highest level, and it has to be cutthroat. It is ruthless, but that's what it is. You
So
know, we'll get to that later in terms of professional sport.
It's
just how
very
ruthless it
interesting
is.
to hear because I never heard this.
No, it's true, man.
I know you guys you played well. I learned that your names were out there
Yeah.
from that conversation
Right.
I had in grad school, but
Right.
it's even bigger than I thought.
Yeah, and I mean the ITF representative was from France, and he was for our region, and it was incumbent upon him to select the best players in the junior age groups.
And he could have easily looked to
He could
Guadalupe
look
Martini.
anywhere, you know what I mean? And there were always Antiguans in the mix, and even when we were on tours, I mean, Antigua was always a very we were small as an island, obviously, compared to, I mean, there were kids coming from England, Canada, all over Israel, Japan, all around the world, you know, taking part in these tournaments, thinking possibly maybe they could come to this region and get easier points, you know, help their ranking and boost. But it also helped our game to improve when we saw what was out there, you know what I mean? And we always had a determination and a belief in what we did, and it was, yeah, I mean, I think you'll speak to, hopefully you'll speak to someone who could also corroborate what I'm talking about, you know, Carlton or Kareem or Kevin or someone like that as well, you know, later on down the line, because looking back on it, it was actually a special time when you look back on tennis in Antigua.
I often say Antigua tends to punch above
Its weight.
its weight. And it's another story for another day, but I find sometimes they want to sun Antigua.
Yes.
They want to tell Antigua
Yes.
not know its place,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I know we have a history of that.
Yes.
And what you said earlier, sometimes it seems like we're going backwards.
Yeah, in terms of a little bit with the administration, like you were saying, even the recognition of talent, you know, yeah, we see a lot, you know, I look back to some of the, even just some of the letters I'd get, you know, going to school, you know, just from an association saying, okay, Mali's going to be away from school for the next week because he has to be here. It was done well in advance, professional letterheads, you know what I mean, everything done to a really high standard, and this was in the 90s when you look back on it, and it seems to have gone.
This was when you were in high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I mean, well, under 12s, I started high school at 11, so I was still playing like under 14s, under 12s in first form. I was playing under 12s, and then after that it was under 14s and 16s.
Very interesting. So you mentioned your dad.
Oh, sorry, and one thing quickly, I forgot to mention one person. We were also quite lucky to have a John McGinley,
Okay.
who was also a fabulous tennis player in his
His day.
as well. Probably, you know, it's arguably the best. And he was running owned the Heritage Sports at the time. And he had the contract and a very good relationship with Wilson tennis gear, tennis equipment. And through him as well, he managed to get quite a few of us sponsorship deals. So we must say thank you to him as well for being also in position and doing what he did to forge such a relationship that could benefit young Antiguans.
And isn't his son on the Pro Tour now?
Yes, he is. He's probably, yeah, Jody actually, who's also quite a good cricketer when he was young. You know, yeah, he's on the Pro Tour now, trying to really make an impact on the professional tour, on the ATP tour, which is so difficult. You know, there's so many people that play tennis.